It's been a busy day already in the National Football League as we had breaking news this morning that the Pittsburgh Steelers have traded safety Minkah Fitzpatrick to the Miami Dolphins in exchange for corner Jalen Ramsey and tight end Jonnu Smith. Welcome into this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. We're going to react to this trade, talk about how it impacts the Kansas City Chiefs and more coming up on today's show. Before we do, folks, it is the final day of the month of June, and for this entire month, we've been doing a like battle between our fellow AFC West channels here at Chat Sports. And you can see we're down just a little bit to the Raiders Report and Broncos Breakdown. Raiders Report at 1,275 likes, Broncos Breakdown at 1,273, and we are at 1,269. So, if you would like to win this like battle and show why we have the best fans, not just in the AFC West, but across the National Football League, do us a favor and hit that like button. It is your last chance, folks. I need your help. I've been hearing a lot of smack from Mitchell Renz at the Raiders Report and from Trace Moustakis over at Broncos Breakdown. Back me up on this. Hit that like button, and we'll get started with today's show. So here are the full trade details of what exactly went down. And this was technically two different trades, but we're going to show you everything all in one graphic just to make life easier for everybody. But here is what ended up happening. The Steelers received Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith along with a 2027 seventh-round pick. The Dolphins get Minkah Fitzpatrick, who played there previously. He makes his return to Miami, as well as a 2027 fifth-round pick in the deal. So now the next question. Okay, what does this mean for the Kansas City Chiefs exactly? Well, I think that what it shows is that Pittsburgh Steelers are not messing around. All right? They bring in one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time at Aaron Rodgers, a future first-ballot Hall of Famer, one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever play the game. Now, how good is he still? That's a whole other question, but at least they're trying, right? And then you bring in Jalen Ramsey, and you bring in DK Metcalf here. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going all in. And they are of the mindset that they can contend in the AFC. Now, we'll see if they're right with their thinking on that, but at least they are putting all their chips into the table on this year, thinking that they're going to be a contender in the AFC. So for the Kansas City Chiefs, what that does is, in theory, let's just say for this exercise that the Steelers are a true threat in the AFC, then that's just another team standing in the way of the Kansas City Chiefs that makes life more difficult in the AFC in 2025 and what already is stacking up to be a very tough conference this year. And the Chiefs, I know they've had their way of winning this conference over the last number of seasons, but they're going to have their work cut out for them, not because of anything they've done wrong, but because of how good the competition is around them. In fact, the latest odds from the folks at DraftKings do not have the Chiefs as the favorite or even the second favorite to win the AFC title this year. That belongs to the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens, who are each at plus 350 odds right now. The Kansas City Chiefs not too far behind at plus 400, while the Cincinnati Bengals are a distant fourth at plus 1,000. And then you look at some other teams, some guys that Chiefs fans are familiar with right here in the division, with the Denver Broncos at plus 1,300, the LA Chargers at plus 1,400. And then we find the Pittsburgh Steelers, after the moves they've made, they've climbed into the top 7 at plus 1,700. And then the Houston Texans as well at plus 1,700 as well. With all that said, folks, I think that the Kansas City Chiefs, with the work that Brett Veach has done via trades and free agency in the draft, they are a better team today than they were at the end of last season where they lost in the Super Bowl to the Philadelphia Eagles. However, this is going to be the toughest competition the Kansas City Chiefs have ever faced in the Mahomes era. And granted, they're not going to play the Pittsburgh Steelers in the regular season, but we showed you some of those teams that are right up there in this AFC title odds that they're going to have to go up against in the regular season alone. You're talking teams like the Buffalo Bills, right? We know we're going to see the Chargers and Broncos twice apiece. It is going to be a tough road to get home field advantage in that top seed and then to get through the playoffs with just how good this conference race is stacking up. What is your one-word reaction to the Jalen Ramsey for Minkah Fitzpatrick trade? I'll give you my one-word reaction coming up in just a moment, but we want to hear from you guys first. Weigh in the comments section and let us know. Folks, this is why you subscribe to the Kansas City Chiefs Report. We are covering everything you need to know on your Kansas City Chiefs with our daily news and rumors. We're reacting to breaking news, Q&A mailbags. We got live shows each and every Tuesday. We're your one-stop shop for all things Kansas City Chiefs. If you love the Chiefs, you've come to the right place. You got to subscribe now. Let's get at least 20 new subs off today's video, closing in on 72,500 subscribers, just about 5 more away from reaching that next milestone. Subscribe now, youtube.com/ChiefsTV, and never miss a moment to the Kansas City Chiefs Report. My one-word reaction is wow. And it was fascinating seeing this trade happen in real time because we were learning piece by piece. Like, okay, here's Jalen Ramsey. Now here's Minkah. Now here's Jonnu Smith. Now here's the draft capital. It was all unfolding one by one. Just a massive deal that was put together involving two teams in the AFC. And now, where do we go from here? The next question becomes, so now what? Okay. What is the direction that the Kansas City Chiefs, and how does this shake things out with this deal being done? Well, first off, the Jalen Ramsey situation, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't think you're sitting there saying to yourselves, damn, we missed out on Jalen Ramsey. You weren't going to trade for Jalen Ramsey anyway with just how ridiculous his contract is, and I think that your corner room is in much better shape than it was a season ago with the additions that we've seen from Christian Fulton to Noah Williams. Jalen Watson should be fully healthy. So that's not the end of the world of missing on Jalen Ramsey necessary. Now, when it comes to Minkah Fitzpatrick and Jonnu Smith, I will say, however, that those two would have been potentially nice to trade for if you were the Kansas City Chiefs to make a deal. But you have decided not to. They are going to find new homes with this deal that's being done. So, what that tells me, folks, because the Kansas City Chiefs did not trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick or Jonnu Smith, two players that in theory you think they may have been interested in, it tells me two things. One, Brett Veach is going all in on Jaden Hicks, and we'll talk more about him in just a second. The second-year safety out of Washington State who led this team in interceptions last year as he steps into a full-time starting role after the departure of Justin Reed, that they feel fully confident in him. But number two, it also shows me that this team is fully confident in their tight end room. The Travis Kelce coming back. Some say he's down 25 pounds. Noah Gray coming off a breakout campaign. Jared Wiley is healthy. That they feel like, hey, we're in a good spot. We didn't need a Jonnu Smith. That we're in a position of strength and that there's confidence in those spots by not making those deals here that Kansas City decided. Let's talk more about Hicks for a moment. He played in 17 games with one start as a rookie last season and was just fantastic. And I'm very high on the guy. I think he's going to do an incredible job. And I think that if you're Brett Veach here, you made the right call not trading for Minkah Fitzpatrick and believing in Jaden Hicks with the production that we saw last year with the 3 interceptions, the 5 pass breakups in a backup role last year. You elevate him to a full-time starter. I think you have every reason to think that your expectations should be sky high, that he can have a fantastic season in 2025. And the coverage stats back it up, too. It's not just the fact that he was able to get the turnovers, but you look at his completion percentage allowed, just 60%, a quarterback rating allowed under 60 as well at 144 yards. Those are fantastic numbers, and I think the Chiefs are in a really good spot. Meanwhile, with the tight end room for Kansas City, of what you've invested in at this point, Kelce, I still think, has a lot to offer. Maybe he's not going to go off for 1,200 yards again, but he doesn't need to. He's not the number one option in this passing game anymore. That belongs to Rashee Rice, and that's okay. But Noah Gray, I think you're feeling pretty fantastic about after what he did last season. Jared Wiley, I think, is in a position where he could potentially surprise some people here. Your team needs what you're potentially still looking to address. I think that they're okay with the safety spot, but they still might evaluate potentially their options there, and they'll want to see what Mike Edwards looks like when it comes training camp time. Defensive line, maybe you could use some help behind Chris Jones potentially, and then the edge rusher position. Could you have somebody develop? Could King Felix, one of these other guys, emerge, or are you going to need to go shopping a bit potentially? I think that's where Kansas City is looking at right now, but overall, still in a very good spot. What is the Chiefs' biggest need at this point right now? What comes to mind for you? Weigh in the comments section and tell me what you think that need is. We got Patrick Mahomes jerseys on sale now at chatsports.com/Mahomes. We have men's and women's options. We got kids' jerseys. We got pretty much everything, folks, at chatsports.com/Mahomes. Free shipping available. Get yours now. And you won't want to miss out, folks. There is never a bad time to get a Patrick Mahomes jersey. I think every Chiefs fan needs to own a Patrick Mahomes jersey, if I'd say so myself. Free shipping available. Get yours now. Chatsports.com/Mahomes to get yours today. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. We also have other Chiefs merchandise available at that same link. Go see for yourself now. Chatsports.com/Mahomes. So, some final thoughts on this. The AFC did get harder today with the Pittsburgh Steelers getting better with these moves they made to bring in one of the best corners in football in Jalen Ramsey, along with Jonnu Smith at the tight end position, giving Aaron Rodgers another weapon. With that said, I don't think that there's much margin for error. We saw last year the Kansas City Chiefs had so many games that they squeaked by, and what's the saying? Sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good, right? Well, with seeing what these other teams look like Baltimore and Buffalo and Cincinnati and these other teams here, there's just not a ton of wiggle room here with how good the competition is. Now, although the Chiefs are not going to see the Pittsburgh Steelers in the regular season, there's a possibility that they could see them in the playoffs. And that might be wild card round, divisional round, AFC championship, something of that effect. But although the Chiefs are not playing them in the regular season, I think we're all keeping an eye on what's going on with that Pittsburgh Steelers team, if they could potentially shake things up in the AFC. At the very least, it's very fascinating of what's going on there in that situation. We'll see how it all unfolds. If you enjoyed today's show, you already know what to do. Hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.